Hip matrix series number 3, we've got our famous loaded hip matrix. This is probably one of my favorite exercises to do. And just in general, whenever we think about mobility, we want to remember that there's just so many different ways we can work on mobility. A quality strength training program is a mobility program. But when we're just focusing on basic mobility exercises, there's just a lot of different ways we really want to play around with it. And one of the ways that I like to play around with it as a coach with my athletes is I like to do loaded mobility exercises. I personally like to use a kettlebell whenever I'm doing these. Kettlebells are just a really nice, easy way to. Kettlebells are just nice for loaded mobility exercises. If you don't have a kettlebell, you can always use a dumbbell. That's totally fine. So we've got our loaded hip matrix. So we're in our half kneeling position. Remember, the hip matrix is pretty much just we're playing around with our front foot position to really dig into more hip mobility. And we're keeping our rib cage stacked over our pelvis. If we're rotating with the hip matrix, we're rotating over the front leg and we're rotating away slightly. With the loaded mobility hip matrix, I really like to focus on that 45-degree angle. You can play around with it at different angles, but the 45, the 90, and behind is really nice. So when I'm holding my weight, I'm just going to hold it nice and close to my body. And same thing, if I'm going to come forward, I like to hold it in the front rack position. If I'm coming at that nice 45-degree cut, I like to hold it low. Remember, we really want to play around with the different positions when we're working mobility. So I can play around with my front rack hold and then holding low. I love that move for a warm-up because we're getting a little more core and we're getting a little more arm activation and prep for our lift.